Okay, so let's forget the usual market headlines for a second. When a company like Motorola Solutions, the name behind the gear our first responders rely on, posts a record-breaking quarter, there's always a bigger story to tell. We're going to decode their Q3 2025 results to figure out what's really driving their success. Let's jump right in. First things first, let's connect the dollars and cents to the actual devices. See, when we talk about Motorola Solutions, we're not just talking about spreadsheets. We're talking about the critical tech, like this body-worn camera right here, that emergency crews trust every single day. This is the hardware and software built for the highest stakes moments imaginable. And wow, the demand for that technology is just booming. The first huge number you need to see is this one. $3 billion. That's what they pulled in for total sales in just the third quarter. That's a solid 8% jump from this time last year. And all those sales? Well, they turned into serious profit. They delivered a record non-GAAP earnings per share of $4.06. Now that's a 9% increase, which tells you they're not just selling more, they're selling more profitably. They're getting a better return on every single dollar coming in the door. Hey, you don't have to take my word for it. The chairman and CEO, Greg Brown, he literally called the quarter outstanding, and he points to robust demand. That phrase right there, that's the key to this whole story. So what exactly is fueling that demand? All right, let's peel back the layers on that robust demand, shall we? A performance this good doesn't come from just one place. It's actually being powered by two really distinct, really powerful engines that make up their core business. But really quick, let's just demystify a term you hear all the time in finance: non-GAAP. The easiest way to think of it is as a filter. It basically removes all the financial noise, like a one-time expense from buying another company, so we can get a much clearer look at how the core business is actually doing day to day. It shows us the real health of the company. Okay, so here are those two engines we were talking about. On one side, you've got products and systems integration. Just think of this as all the physical hardware. The radios, the cameras, the big network installations. And on the other side, you have software and services. That's all about the command center programs and those crucial ongoing support contracts. And what's so interesting here is the steady, powerful growth in their traditional sweet spot. The products and systems part of the business grew a super healthy 6% year over year, hitting almost $1.9 billion. This just proves that demand for their core hardware is as strong as it's ever been. But here's where the story gets even better. The software and services side, it grew even faster, up a whopping 11%. And this is so crucial because this represents recurring revenue, money that comes in month after month. It's not just a one-time sale, it's a long-term relationship, and it's becoming an incredibly powerful growth engine for the whole company. Record-breaking quarters like this are almost never an accident. They happen because of smart, strategic moves. So now, let's look at the big bets Motorola is making to lock in its future, starting with a massive acquisition and some really game-changing contracts. And they are definitely not afraid to spend big to secure that future. The company just closed a massive deal this quarter, buying a company called Silvus Technologies for a staggering $4.4 billion. So what in the world does $4.4 billion get you? It gets you something called Monet. It's basically a pop-up, self-healing communication network. Just imagine a disaster zone where all the cell towers are down. Monet Tech lets first responders' devices connect directly to each other, creating a reliable network right on the fly. It is an absolute game changer for communicating in the toughest spots on Earth. And this, right here, shows you the real-world impact. Just look at these wins. $110 million for a system upgrade in Colorado, $84 million in Tennessee, $57 million for services in Louisiana, and a brand new $25 million command center for Idaho. I mean, these aren't just numbers on a page. They are massive investments in keeping our community safe and coordinated. Now, to understand where things are headed, we need to talk about backlog. It's a simple idea. Think of it as the company's official to-do list. It's the total value of all the contracts they've already signed but haven't finished the work for yet. It's one of the best crystal balls we have for a company's future sales. And get this, Motorola's backlog is at a record high, sitting at $14.6 billion. That's almost $500 million more than just a year ago. So here's the key takeaway. Even while they're having record sales, their pipeline of future work is still growing. That just screams sustained, strong demand for what they do. But of course, no business operates in a perfect little bubble. A fantastic quarter doesn't mean the road ahead is totally clear.
To get the whole picture, we have to look at the potential storm clouds, the risks that the company themselves are keeping a close eye on.
Yeah, in their own reports, they're pointing to a pretty complex global situation. Things like trade tariffs can jack up costs overnight, and that volatility in the supply chain, that's not just a short-term headache. It can delay critical public safety projects for months, even years. And then there's the whole issue of a potential U.S. government shutdown. And that shutdown risk is a big one. It's specific and it's serious. When a huge part of your business is with federal agencies, a shutdown doesn't just mean payments get delayed. It can completely halt projects, mess up logistics, and really damage that long-term trust you have with your most important customers.
But despite those very real challenges, the company's outlook is still incredibly positive. So let's dig into why they're so confident, from new funding sources all the way to their own updated forecasts for the year.
A huge reason for all that optimism is something they call a tailwind. A new piece of legislation, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, was passed back in July. What it does is provide multi-year funding specifically for national and border security, which are, you guessed it, key markets for Motorola. This creates a stable, long-term source of money for their government customers.
And here it is. This is the ultimate sign of confidence. This slide shows their forecast for full-year earnings per share. And look at this. They didn't just meet expectations. They totally raised them. What they thought would be under $15 is now guided to be over that mark. For a company this big, that is a massive vote of confidence in their own business.
And we'll just let the CEO have the last word on their performance. It's a simple, direct statement that says it all. The quarter was so strong, they are once again telling the market to expect even better results for the full year.
So, what's the big takeaway from Motorola's stellar quarter? It's that the business of safety is absolutely booming, and the tech behind it is getting smarter and more connected by the day. And that raises a really crucial question for all of us. As our cities and first responders rely more and more on this integrated web of data, video, and communication, what does that actually mean for the future of public safety? And what are the trade-offs we need to start thinking about?